With the Juno playtest having been completed and Season 12 less than a month away, I'm going to share some changes to Overwatch that I think a lot of you will agree with, and if in fact you do disagree, I'd love to hear your opinions on what I've said or changes you think need to happen in the game in general. Starting off the top of the list, I think that the Juno trial was ultimately a lot of fun. However, I know that I myself and many other players are not happy with the state in which Juno was in. As a Master Support player, I think that Juno's kit was very fun and unique, and from my streams, a lot of my viewers think that she is OP. I myself am not under that impression of Juno, as I think that she is relatively strong, but I feel as though she needs one minor buff that will ultimately make her strong at release. That of course, her being able to headshot. I do not know why Blizzard decided to make it so she can't headshot, but I know that myself and multiple other support players like Awkward and ML7 think that she has very limited carry potential as she doesn't have that skill expression of headshots. Now I know a lot of you are probably thinking, personally I found Juno was rather strong, and if they do headshots then she will be far too powerful. My response to that is that I get that, but what Blizzard has learned from the past is that when they release a new hero, that hero cannot be weak and underpowered. The best example of this is Lifeweaver at launch. He was so unbelievably weak to a point where if you killed him, you would literally be rewarded with the healing orb that he dropped. And even after his initial buffs, after the 2 weeks of him coming out, get it, because he's gay, he was still so weak that not a single person could complete an unranked GM on Lifeweaver until 3 seasons after he was released. So Blizzard is definitely not going to go in the direction of Lifeweaver, as due to his terrible launch, he gets barely any playtime at all, especially the higher rank you go. On the other hand, however, you have what happens if they make Juno too OP. We all remembered what happened at the start of Season 8, and literally every other season, because Blizzard decided to keep fucking buffing Mauga. Oh yeah, if you didn't figure it out, I was talking about Mauga here. If they make her as strong as what Mauga was on release, then yes, people will play her because she is overpowered, but once she is inevitably nerfed because they don't want to have a meta that looms for 2 years again, people won't play her out of resentment for the past. So that leads into why I think having headshots is a small change that will not only increase her skill expression, but it will make her just strong enough so that she is like Lari or Venture on release. Still strong, but not to the point if you don't play them, you're on the losing team. For those of you who understood the slight foreshadowing in my slight rant earlier about Mauga, here's a more in-depth rant about him. Blizzard likes to make it so that all other heroes have time in the spotlight, and considering that there is always people out there who one-trick each character, it gives them a time to shine. But the problem is that not every single hero has a kit for that to happen. Heroes like this are Torb, Sim, Mei, and of course Mauga. The reason as to why Blizzard can't afford things like this to happen is because of the way they are designed. Characters or weapons in any game that can completely shut down and deny enemies are very unfun to play against. And Mauga is a prime example. No tank counters him other than himself. And then, characters that do have abilities to counter him, like Ana or Zen, can instantly be negated by Kiri, which makes him really bloody miserable to play against. And if you don't believe me, go into a tank streamer's chat, like Super, Emong, or Flats, and they'll tell you. Next thing I'm going to cover is Mercy. Aaron, please. I know you're never going to see this, but for the love of Roadhog's Hog, please buff this character. Like, it's not even funny how unbelievably terrible Mercy is right now. And considering how Overwatch, as of the time I'm recording this, is in a pretty balanced state, it's unbelievable how Mercy is by far the worst character in the game. Her healing is really small and only heals one target at a time, and then her damage boost is completely outshone by other abilities like Discord Orb. But the problem is, how do you buff Mercy? If you buff her damage boost, she will become overpowered almost instantly. So I think that the best direction would be to increase her healing and survivability. If they make it so that Mercy can do just a mediocre amount of healing, other than her current subpar healing, then she will not only be more fun to play, but then you can also spend more time playing Mercy properly and damage boosting, because your team isn't in danger of dying at all the time. Then to increase her survivability, I think that they could buff her passive so that she heals herself a little bit more, as I honestly feel like that Mercy currently just dies at the start of every team fight, and there is literally nothing you can do about it. So buffing her survivability will definitely help with that. The final thing I'm going to say is maps. The Escort, Hybrid, and Control map pool have the most variety, with 8 Escort maps, 7 Hybrid ones, and 7 Control ones. But then when we get to the 2 newest game modes, there is only 4 push maps and 2 flashpoint maps, which I personally think makes those game modes very repetitive and unfun, especially considering how the newest map they've added into the game legitimately favors whoever is in control of the bot, making it arguably one of the worst designed maps in the entire game. Now, I'm not saying that all the worst maps in the game are push and flashpoint maps. Of course not, most of them are escort maps, but the problem with those game modes is that there is such a small map pool, and how a lot of the time those maps tend to be very one-sided. They're just not fun to play as other maps. One thing about maps that I think Blizzard is doing well is changing a lot of the old maps. Not only does it keep the game fresh and that map more fun to play, but it also changes how some of those maps feel very one-sided. I'm very optimistic to see changes to one-sided maps like Dorado, Circuit Royale, and Havana, which I'm sure will happen as Blizzard is changing maps that people tend to have a lot of negative focus on, like Colosseo and Junkertown. Either way, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did like it, consider subscribing, as it genuinely helps out more than you might really think. Stay safe and healthy, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Take care, everyone.